For so many, it seems as though life is absolutely overwhelming. Life becomes overbearing. The afflictions, the oppression, the times when even death seems to have won. And we look around our world and we see hunger and racism and discrimination and war and homelessness and violence. The stench of death is very real in our world. It seems almost at times like God has left us and gone away. There seems to be a great distance between our life and the promise of a new day. And somehow within us we cry out, our world cries out from the very depths of our soul. It's almost like, remember the lady at the well 2 weeks ago? She was thirsty, her soul was thirsty. The blind man last week was looking for something inside that could give him an insight into how to live in this world. And for all of us, sometimes we hear the cry of God, hear my voice, O God. Do you hear my voice? What can God do? Well, we listen to the words of Ezekiel, where he says, O my people, I will open your graves and have you rise from them. I will put my spirit in you, that you may live. Jesus spent his whole life inviting people out of the tombs of despair and reminding us that how we live really does matter. And the Lord calls us by name, just like he did Lazarus today. Lazarus, come forth. He calls each of us by our name and says, come forth, go and sin no more, and do not be afraid. But he also tells us that we need to help each other. We need to tear the bindings away, the past mistakes in people's lives, the past failures, our past moments and our past failures. We need to help each other to leave the darkness and step into the light. And so Jesus invites us to be participators in helping to complete God's redemptive work. Participators. And as we've said before, it's not good enough for us just to sit here and take up space. We have to be active participators in God's redemption, the redemption of other people, the redemption of ourselves. And so we're called to trust a gospel way of life, making a tangible difference because we are here, because we are in this world. What difference do you make? What difference do I make in this world? Other than taking up space and breathing all the air. We have to do something different. We have to reflect God's way 24/7. A few years ago, our Holy Father spoke about the attitude that keeps people bound to their sins, like Lazarus, bound with the wrappings. And our Holy Father says, a man or a woman who feels sick or empty in their soul. There's a lot of people who feel that way. Do you believe that? There are a lot of people who are empty and feel sick in their soul. And they've made many mistakes, the Holy Father says. But how many times do our Christian communities close the door on them? How many times do we say, you have made a mistake and you can't enter? There's no place for you. We know that that's been real. It's been real in our church. The Holy Father went on to say that he's saddened. His soul hurts. His heart is sad by this attitude. stressing that the church is the house of Jesus. It's not our church. We're stewards and servants of the house of Jesus. So if the Holy Father says, if people are wounded, what does Jesus do? Does he reproach them because they are wounded? Because they've made mistakes? Because they are sinners? No, you know what he does? He gets up and goes out and searches for them. Goes out seeking for them. And when he finds them, he puts them on his shoulders and carries them. This is called mercy. That's what our name should be. That's God's name. So we need to follow Jesus out of the tomb. The Spirit of Jesus is living in you. You heard that in the second reading. The Spirit of Jesus is living in you. And you. And you. And you. And you. That Spirit of Jesus is alive. The same Spirit that raised Jesus. The same Spirit that raised Lazarus. And resurrection should just run through our veins. And we need to act like it. We're no longer bound by darkness or by that all-powerful terminator called death. And our lives, someone has said, should be the billboards of resurrection.